Leonardo da Vinci. To me, he's the smartest person to have ever walked in the universe. Let me give you a DMT story that exemplifies Leonardo da Vinci's genius. I once took a hyper dose of DMT. And as I was in the universe, I realized I could talk to the entities and they would give me some answers. And I really started doing art during that time. I was 2 years into painting. But to me, I found Leonardo da Vinci so fascinating because he was able to do so much in just 64 years of life. So as I was in space looking at emptiness, I saw Leonardo da Vinci's soul. And the way that I saw it is that his soul looked heavy. Like it was dense. You know how some things have the same size but different density? Out of all the souls that out there, Leonardo da Vinci's was the densest soul. And I asked the entity, why was Leonardo da Vinci so good at everything? And you know what he told me that blew my mind? I was expecting something profound. I was expecting something mystical. But he gave me the complete opposite, right? What he said to me was as anticlimactic as it was profound. And it was this. He just wanted it more. At that moment, when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? I was expecting to do a spirit of Rooney, a backflip, going into this warp hole, some shit. But it was actually so simple. He told me that Leonardo da Vinci wanted what he attained more than anybody has ever wanted something. And that to me is one of those things that blows your mind at how simple it is, but is also disheartening because it's a reflection of your work ethic. It makes you realize that the only reason why he became such a genius, such an animal when it comes to everything that he did, because he just wanted it more than you did. You think you want something, you don't know what wanting is. And so we're gonna talk about this type of work ethic. The type of work ethic that transcends time. The type of work ethic that creates geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci. The first thing about Leonardo is that he had ADHD. What do I mean by that? You might think that ADHD is somebody who cannot focus on one thing, and that is kind of true. What ADHD really is that you likes things a lot, but also you like a lot of things a lot, but you also get bored easily. Leonardo da Vinci is an example of that. When he would study something, he wouldn't just study something halfway, right? He would study things at 100%. And the thing about Leonardo that people found ADHD was that he never stayed with one topic. He would go from art to anatomy to flying. Let me give you an example. How do you think those things happen? Well, first of all, he was told to create an angel by Verrocchio. And because he wanted to make an angel, he wanted to make a realistic angel. So Leonardo da Vinci started studying birds because he wanted to depict real life wings. And then as he was studying birds, he was studying the mechanics of bird. And he asked himself, how do they fly? And so in his study of trying to create the perfect wing, he then delved deeply into the anatomy of bird. From that, he started studying aerodynamics, started doing experiments with flying, and started learning how to fly. As you can see, it does look disorderly. But at the peak of Leonardo's like lack of order, he had a deep desire for the truth. He wanted to pierce reality. He didn't just want to know how to draw a bird. He wanted to know how the bird flew. And then he wanted to know how aerodynamics work. And then he saw that aerodynamics had a very similar sensation to hydrodynamics. And so he wouldn't just draw water. He would draw the physics of water. And so that's the thing. His work ethic came from an insatiable curiosity. The dude was just A curious, that's supposed to be a light bulb. The dude is it was a curious person. So at the core of his work ethic was an all-powerful engine that made him want to know the things that you just wouldn't imagine. There was a one point where Leonardo wrote, described the tongue of a woodpecker. My man, who the fuck wants to know the tongue of a woodpecker? And then after that, he was studying, like, just insane shit. So that's the first thing. At the core of it is a deep desire. And that deep desire sometimes can come, hopefully, like deep desire doesn't just come from happiness. I'm just letting you know. That comes from insecurity. People, I can't write, people. Insecurity, right? A loneliness, being shunned. These types of trauma sometimes creates an overwhelming desire to learn other things to feel competent, right? That's the first thing. The next thing about Leonardo is that he had what he called ostinato rigore, meaning rigorous practice. Leonardo never showed people how much he practiced. They only saw the outcome. Nobody, like, honestly, people didn't know how much of a genius he was. Like, yes, people would ask themselves, how would he paint these realistic bodies? How was he able to paint a smile that's not smiling? How does he do that? Well, he couldn't tell people what he did. Why? Because it was against the law. He could not dissect corpses. In Leonardo's day, he dissected over 56 human body and hundreds of animal body. And that was illegal. Okay, let me tell you something. How much do you want something that you're willing to, first of all, risk going to prison, risk having to, this is what Leonardo would say. You're not capable of doing what I do if you can't do this. If you can't handle the smell of rotting corpses, you got to be able to handle the sight of a rotting corpses. You got to be willing to be at night all night long with the corpse. Got to have good lighting, right? Got to not be scared of the fucking corpse coming back to life. And above all, you got to have the proper draftsmanship, like the ability to draw, and patience. And then just the willingness to shut the fuck up and not tell anyone what you're doing. All of these things allowed him and Michelangelo, to be honest with you, to dissect humans and get at the core of life itself. He could have just read a book, but just think about it. The psychopathicness to be willing to open up a human, that first incision, must have freaked him out. And then he was like, oh, I gotta go back and do it again. That, to me, is a full body experience, a full body desire to get to know the truth. Are you willing to do illegal shit just to make your art better? Ladies and gentlemen, that motherfucker wanted it more than everybody wanted it. Let's continue. All right. Now, this is a very important one. He wasn't isolated, right? Leonardo da Vinci was a very social person. A lot of people think of artists being isolated, alone, and just having an isolated experience. Leonardo always loved to be around people. When he first, when he was a little baby Leonardo, he would draw out in the forest in Vinci because his dad was an accountant and he had Leonardo illegitimately. So he couldn't be an accountant. So Leonardo went to become an artist. So he would just walk around and just observe the little flowers, right? Draw trees, right? And so he became in love with nature because of the freedom that he had. But he didn't like being alone. So his dad sent him to work with Verrocchio. And in there, he learned engineering, art, everything except anatomy. He did everything. And because of that, he became interested into every type of topic. He was around people. So even when he finished Verrocchio's studio, he opened up his own studio. Leonardo would, from time to time, take retreats where he would be alone for a few weeks, but it was always with other people. What I'm trying to tell you is that working with other people genuinely increases your work ethic. You will literally work harder when you... Now, the next one is that he would work 12-hour days, right? like he would have like geometric problems that he would solve, and if you look at his notebooks, he would fill many notebooks with little letters full of geometrical drawings. The guy was what people call stubborn. He was a stubborn person. Now, the next thing with Leonardo is that finishing was never really a thing. Leonardo loved the detail. In fact, he loved the detail more than the actual thing. Meaning, he would love the process of finishing more than finishing itself. And the reason why that is because life is in the details. He got at the core of making his paintings look so realistic. For example, the smile. He was able to capture. By the way, nobody painted smiles back then, because it's very hard to hold a smile. So most people painted with a serious face. To draw and paint with a smile takes like creative risk. He would do that because he studied the little noses, the little muscles. When he would dissect people illegally, he realizes that there's some little muscles that every artist misses. Through those little details, that little detail brought to life his whole painting. So remember, finishing is never a thing for Leonardo. An example of that is The Last Supper, okay? The Last Supper, the painting was almost finished. But Leonardo couldn't find somebody that looked like Judas. He said nobody looked evil enough, right? And he was late for that project, like many projects. And the king was like pissed off. He was like, dude, where's my painting? I'm gonna execute your ass. And Leonardo was like, look, man, I can't find an evil person. I need to get this one right. Took him months to get that person. And it finished with a masterpiece. Now, you might say that's irrelevant, but that's why you're not Leonardo da Vinci. That the little details that you find irrelevant, Leonardo, that was the reason why his painting became relevant, right? And last but not least, Leonardo was a big fan of actually being isolated and being in complete silence with his paintings. I think that is at the crux of Leonardo da Vinci, is that his eyes, he would look at things for a very long time and contemplate them. There were moments, people who recalled Leonardo da Vinci's work ethic, where they would say he would paint for 12 hours straight. Then the next day, he would not even touch a brush, would look at his paintings for like 8 hours, and then put one brush stroke, and then go back home. Leonardo had this weird work ethic where for periods, like imagine this is January, and imagine this is December, for periods of months, he would work hard, relentlessly. And then for periods, he wouldn't even touch a brush. He would paint for years and then not even want to be known as a painter. He would say, please recognize me for this, for that. Don't you notice what that means? His desire was never for admiration or praise, right? So Leonardo would just be in silence and look at his paintings. And the reason why that is, he said he just wanted to internalize it. He would literally look at it like a meditation. And one of the things that increases your work ethic, if I'm being honest with you, is literally consciously doing nothing. Like, I know you don't do nothing sometimes, but I want you to do nothing on purpose. Which means, motherfucking meditating people, meditation will literally give you work ethic. Look, you guys don't know me because this is a new channel, but if you guys watched my videos last year, up until like a year and a half, you'll notice I wouldn't make as many videos as I'm making now. It was up until when I went to my first 10-day meditation retreat. After that, after being in silence for so long, something happened and all of a sudden I could make more videos, right? Being in silence, consciously doing nothing will increase your work ethic, people. Consciously not doing nothing will give you the energy to literally want to do anything. It really does. Ask a personer, right? And that's which goes to my next point. And this is why he was such a genius. Leonardo never wanted to be so good at so many things for the sake of it. The truth is, he never wanted it for the praise. Michelangelo was more so for praise. Leonardo, man, people really didn't know the extent because like dozens of years until people found his anatomical drawings. It's not like he died and wanted people to see it. So this is, to me, is at the core of Leonardo. His work ethic didn't come from desire for praise. It came because he loved the process. The love for the process was the engine of his work ethic. The love for the sake of discovering was the engine of his work ethic. To a certain point, I'm not going to call Leonardo autistic because he was very social, but at the end of the day, he did have ADHD. The ability to hyper-focus, the ability to go from subject to subject as long as they're related. Motherfucker, don't you dare and do fucking science today and then try to fucking, everything's related to science, right? Anyways, try to find something that is related, right? For example, me, I like drawing. I like making YouTube videos. Took me years to come up with a way to integrate those. And I finally have, and I like what I'm doing more. This process feels more fun than the other process, right? I can promise you, Leonardo loved what he did. He found it fun. It's to the point that Leonardo would say no to projects. He wasn't in it for the money. He really wasn't. He was in it to just find the truth, all right? So this is at the core of Leonardo's desire. Leonardo's work ethic. He just wanted it more than you did. And honestly, that is one explanation that is very difficult to accept and look at ourselves and say, what does that say about me? Motherfucker, that says you don't want it. You think you do, but your ego tells you you want it more. But if your ego allowed you to see the truth, you'll go into a depression. But then from that depression, you will rise a stronger person.
All right, guys, we're going to have a brief intermission so that I can tell you guys about our new bundle that we're doing where you guys can purchase all of my courses and get it at a discount. So this bundle is pretty much the bundle where you could just buy all of my courses. You could buy Nice Guy, which is a training course on how to come across more assertive, how to come across more confident, how to not give off nice guy vibes. You guys can get access to Dark Game, which is my full dating course on how to meet women in different scenarios, how to attract women, how to make sure you don't come across as creepy, and essentially how to act like a man and not act like a doofus, to be quite honest with you. And you get all of these bonuses, which is the bonuses of Dark Game, the bonuses of Practical Mastery, which is about how to master a skill, Social Mastery, which is how to master your social life, and the Laws of Human Nature, which is a book club video that I had dissecting Robert Greene's book. All of this is naturally at around naturally is at $346, but you guys can purchase this bundle and get it at what's the price again? Get it at $238 pretty much. So you guys can purchase it right now. It's a money back 30-day money back guarantee. It's a good way to, rather than just buying them individually and paying extra, you guys can just purchase everything at a discount price. Now, the only thing I don't like is the fact that I'm giving you a lot of information at the same time. That makes me kind of scared because a lot of times people don't do the things that I teach when you get too much information. But I've gotten too many requests to do this, so I'm just satisfying you guys. Purchase it right now by clicking on the description down below where it says purchase the bundle. All right, let's continue with the video.